The harsh truth about dating younger women and why it works. Let me say something that's going to trigger a few people. If you're a man over 25, building your body, building your money, building your name, why are you still dating like you're 19? Why are you negotiating with women who are exhausted from battles you never fought? Stay with me, because this isn't about disrespect. It's about alignment. And most men are losing years of their life because they don't understand timing. This is grown man talk. After 25, a man is not the same creature he was at 21. At 25 plus, something shifts. You start thinking long term. You care about leverage. You understand consequences. You've tasted failure. You've rebuilt. You've learned restraint. You've started forming standards. You're not chasing vibes anymore. You're building a foundation. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Many women your exact age are not in that same psychological window, not because they're bad, but because phases matter. A lot of them are tired of modern dating, tired of disappointment, tired of men who didn't lead, tired of situationships, tired of almost. And when someone is tired, they don't date with curiosity, they date with caution. They bring comparison, they bring history, they bring 10 invisible interviews with exes you've never met. So you walk into something that's already defensive, not fresh. Now contrast that with a younger, legal, and emotionally stable woman in her early 20s. She's still forming, still observing, still calibrating what kind of man she respects. She hasn't hardened yet. She hasn't built armor thicker than her femininity. And here's where weak men misunderstand this conversation. They hear younger and think control. That's loser thinking. Strong men don't pursue younger women to manipulate. They attract younger women because they are already ahead, mentally, financially, emotionally, and structurally. The gap is a byproduct of growth, not the mission. Here's another fact. Biology doesn't care about modern opinions or feelings. Peak fertility in women statistically happens in their early 20s. That's not ideology, that's biology. By 30, fertility gradually declines. By 35, it drops more significantly. Men, we don't peak at 21. Men peak in value later, typically late 20s to mid-30s, when income, emotional stability, status, and confidence mature. This creates what I call asymmetrical timing. At 22, you're building. At 28, you're stabilizing. At 35, you're established. But many men still date women their exact age, women who at that stage may already have emotional baggage, failed relationships, or pressure from biological timelines. When you date younger, say 21 to 25, you're often meeting her closer to her peak youth and fertility window, while you're stepping into your peak competence and provision ability. That's alignment. If this is making sense so far, pause for a second. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're serious about leveling up instead of arguing in comment sections, and drop alignment below if you understand this is about life phase, not ego. Now let's go deeper. Attraction is not about equal age, it's about unequal value. A woman must feel you are ahead in something meaningful, vision, discipline, emotional control, direction. If she feels like she has to coach you into manhood, respect evaporates. But if she feels guided, not controlled, guided, attraction compounds. And here's a fact most people won't say out loud. A man's psychological prime doesn't start at 21. It usually begins after 25. That's when confusion starts dying. That's when you stop reacting and start deciding. That's when you realize attention is cheap, but respect is rare. You don't go younger because she's naive. You go younger because you're advanced. You bring stability, clear boundaries, patience, leadership without noise. And women, regardless of age, respond to hierarchy, not dictatorship, hierarchy. Who sets the pace? Who holds emotional frame? Who stays calm under pressure? In most cases, that man is not 22. He's 28, 32, 35. A man who's been through fire and didn't fold. And let's address the elephant in the room. Some men over 25 struggle with women their age because the power dynamic feels negotiated. Everything becomes a debate. Everything becomes a test in equality instead of polarity. But with a younger woman who respects structure, the polarity is natural, not forced, not argued, not performed, natural. And polarity is oxygen to attraction. This is not about chasing youth. It's about protecting momentum. If you're building your empire, your body, your mindset, the worst thing you can do is date someone in completely different psychological chapter. That friction drains you, and drained men make weak decisions. Look historically. Even in biblical accounts, successful age gap unions were common when the man carried provision, direction, and authority. This isn't new, it's ancient structure. If your goal is short-term fun, age doesn't matter much. But if you're thinking marriage, legacy, children, stability, then time matters. A woman who's 23 gives you time, time to grow together, time to build, time before external pressure sets in. A woman who's 32 and suddenly wants marriage now may not be choosing you, she may be choosing urgency. There's a difference. When urgency drives decisions, compatibility often becomes secondary. You don't want to be someone's deadline solution. You want to be her genuine desire. People say date someone your age because maturity matches. No, maturity doesn't come from age. It comes from experience and responsibility. You could be 30 and immature. You could be 23 and focused. The question isn't numbers, it's trajectory. Is she on an upward path? Are you also on the same path? If both arrows point up, age gap becomes an advantage, not a liability. But here's the final truth. If you're over 25 and still broke, undisciplined, reactive, and emotionally chaotic, younger women are not your solution. Self-mastery is. You don't deserve alignment until you become aligned. You don't deserve respect until you embody value. So don't chase younger, become better. Because when you build real value, your options expand, and you choose from strength, not scarcity. If you keep dating in the wrong life phase, you will stay stuck in the wrong version of yourself. Now the question isn't why go younger. The real question is, are you actually ahead enough to lead? You don't go for younger women because you're insecure. You don't go for younger women to manipulate. You don't go for younger women because women your age rejected you. You go where alignment, attraction, and long-term vision intersect. If that's younger, and legal of course, and you're operating with integrity, strength, and leadership, there's nothing wrong with that. Just remember, your age gap only works if your value gap exists. If you're 30 with 21-year-old discipline, she won't respect you. But if you're 30 with purpose, structure, financial growth, emotional control, and a clear mission, now you're different. And different men live different realities. Choose wisely. Build first, lead properly, and never date from fear, date from strength.